last time you were on, you told me about your backstory. But that was some time ago now. Well, not just your backstory, but the episode itself was some time ago. So for those, there's a lot of new viewers since then. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
And so I am a third generation British Pakistani. Grew up in London and was pretty damn religious as I was growing up here. So I wore hijab at 9 years old, as one good Muslim girl does. And mosque was just important at school. And yeah, my granddad was the imam of our local mosque. And so it was obviously, I was quite close to him and started memorizing the Quran and, you know, really kind of taking religion on, flaunting it, if you will. And then life changed completely because we moved to the house of the Islamic God, Allah, in Saudi Arabia. And I lived like 40 minutes away from Mecca. So we'd go and do pilgrimages a lot. And you think you're so lucky because you're blessed to be living in, you know, so close to the house of God. How many other Muslims get this opportunity? And that's where I got a glimpse of the real deal, like Wahhabi Islam. I know Saudi Arabia's changed a lot now. But when I was there in the noughties, there was still the Islamic police, the Mutawa. There was still kind of beheadings and amputations after Friday prayers. There was still a heavy like gender apartheid outside of our schools because I went to a very international school, living in a very international compound. But outside those four walls, it is like proper Sharia. So my upbringing kind of was seeing that and then coming back to England every few months for holidays and kind of living between those two worlds. So yeah, just trying to understand my faith between those two things really.
And when did you start to move away from that?
We moved to Dubai after Saudi Arabia and I thought, oh, this is nice. This is like a Islam light. Like I hear the call to prayer. We get all the holidays, but I can drive. I can go out with boys. I can go to the cinema. Cinema exists. In Saudi Arabia, you had to drive across the border to Bahrain just to go to the cinema.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's no cinema in Saudi Arabia?
Not when I was there, no.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and people would be making like moonshine in their houses and, you know, everything like was just an ordeal. And yeah, it was like doing a drug deal to go watch a movie or get a pirated copy.
Bloody hell. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're in Dubai and yeah.
So in Dubai, everything seemed like, oh, this is an Islam I can get behind. You know, they've got one step in the modern kind of Western world. This is like a taste of how London life would be. But also we hold on to our Islamic religiousness. And that's kind of when I was getting more and more, I was introduced to so many people from different backgrounds and I heard of religions that I'd never heard of before, like the Druze religion, a lot of, from people from Lebanon. And I was like, that's cool. They get the best of both worlds, Islam and Christianity. I came across a lot of Shia friends as well and realized how much they were persecuted by Sunnis. And so there was a lot of kind of mentally, like kind of groundbreaking stuff I was absorbing as a young teenager and kind of, you know, internalizing myself as what do I stand for, what do I not. But then coming back to the UK again, I was exposed to British values and you think to yourself, oh, okay, I've got some gay friends and I've got this, but actually I'm supposed to hate you. My religion tells me to hate Christians. It tells me to hate Jews, but here we are all coexisting perfectly. You know, we like each other. I don't want these people to burn in eternity in hell. So all of those things were happening on an internal level, but it wasn't until a life experience happened to me when I had gone back to Dubai as an adult and got married that made me kind of really just snap out of the faith.
This was an arranged marriage?
It was not an arranged marriage, but it was you have to get married situation because we can't leave you unmarried. An unmarried Muslim girl is a liability. In our culture, you can't have fun until you're married. You can't travel. So it's actually like your path to freedom, essentially, yeah.
And what happened when you married this man?
Well, very quickly the marriage fell apart. Like I had no idea. I had grown up in thankfully quite healthy, well, as far as I know, a healthy environment in terms of like it wasn't abusive or anything. But then living with him, I was experiencing things I'd never experienced before to the point where I was becoming like a shell of myself as a person. I was very outgoing and I started, you know, watching TED Talks about why do I feel depressed and things like that. And then I think one day he said something to me and I actually Googled it thinking, is that normal for someone to say to another person, especially like if you're, you know, your intimate partner? And the Google page came out with 10 signs you're being emotionally abused. And that was the first time I'd heard those words. And then I realized, oh my God, like, no, he's controlling the money as well. He's not letting me work. All of these things that are kind of keeping me stuck in this position where I feel like shit basically every day. And
what had he said to you?
Pardon?
What had he said to you?
I went through EMDR therapy and I've actually forgotten what that line itself was. But I remember thinking, I wouldn't say that to my worst enemy. Is that normal? It's actually even hard for me to retell it now because it's like a different lifetime. It's EMDR like wipes these memories from your brain. That's why I can kind of like smile about it now as I talk. Before I just used to like tears would just drop nonstop. But yeah, I think, and again, that's kind of propelled me to do the work that I'm doing now is because I didn't even know these things existed. I didn't know the word gaslighting. I didn't know what stonewalling was. I didn't know what breadcrumbing was. I didn't know all of these kind of psychological abuse manipulation tactics. Essentially, long story short, when I found out and I tried to leave, the control extended to how dare you try and divorce me? Like, there's no way you're leaving this situation. You're mine forever. And in order to do that, he found a lawyer that put this really, really ancient Sharia law on me, which relates directly back to a Quran verse about the disobedience of a wife, which is called nushuz in Arabic. And the Quran verse is like, if you fear disobedience, it's from the same verse about the wife beating 434. If you fear disobedience, they've extended it in Sharia law. So in the Quran, you can beat them, admonish them. In the law, you can do other things to return you forcibly back to the house because you're a disobedient wife and your husband doesn't want to let you go and you can't leave without his permission. So to my British trained mind, because I'd gone to uni and studied law, I was like, that's kidnap.
Yeah.
That no judge would allow that, no law, no court, nobody's going, this is ridiculous. Except Dubai operates Sharia law and judges do consider that. So I thought we were going to have play it out like it would in any normal country where one of them wants divorce, one doesn't, but it plays out in court and you state your reasons. But no, we had to go through Islamic counseling where he said that there were demons in me and I was possessed, and that's why I wanted a divorce. It wasn't me talking. So I was encouraged to pray 5 times a day and do all of these Islamic things to get closer with God, and I would change my mind. They had no idea what the word abuse was. And so that fell on deaf ears. And when I realized I thought I was going to trust in the system to get me my freedom and what I'm owed, I thought, no, actually this system is rigged against you. It's rigged against women because it just upholds these absurd Islamic teachings. And if you've got a kind of nefarious lawyer and you've got a husband that doesn't want to let you go, they can team up to make your life hell. So I got out at the last minute by the skin of my teeth, by calling the British emergency number for Dubai, for British expats in Dubai. And bless him, the gentleman on the phone just said, get out of there. Do not give them your passport, because things had heated up so much that they were asking for me to hand my passport over and essentially put a travel ban on me. And I just legged it to the airport, packed a quick bag and legged it and never looked back.
Bloody hell. So are you technically still married to him?
No. So thankfully, months later, I got my own lawyer there, and she went through the courts when I was here safely, and eventually she got the divorce statement, because I wanted to see that beautiful D word on a piece of paper, no matter how long it would have taken. But it's funny you asked that, because in the grand scheme of things, like coming back to the UK, it was just an Islamic marriage. So it didn't really mean anything in terms of my life moving forward. And I work with a lot of clients who are so adamant that they need the Islamic talaq, and they don't get it for years, because that's how Islam is designed, that only a man unilaterally has the right to divorce. And I looked at the Sharia Council in London's website the other day, and the first thing that came up was, we are no longer accepting khullas, which is the woman's court application for divorce, because we have a backlog. And so imagine relying on the Sharia Council here, that a lot of Muslim families do, as a woman, you're not going to get anything for potentially years. And I always tell them, don't even wait for that. Just break away and just, live your life, because that is post-separation control, or that is control even within kind of, just delaying your freedoms essentially. And women stay in that limbo for so long.
They have that in like Haredi or Orthodox Judaism as well. It's called a get. You have to get a get.
Yes, yeah, very similar. Actually, when I look at Islam now, I was watching My Orthodox Life on Netflix.
Oh, Julia.
Yeah, and I was like, I understand where Islam got so many of its things from.
Yeah,
you know,
so
as
much.
Judaism being the predecessor to that.
There's so much similar stuff. I mean, even
Absolutely.
halal and kosher meat.
Yeah.
Which I would ban both of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I keep talking about it. I don't know why. I started talking about it a few weeks ago. Now every episode I'm like, and also kosher and halal meat, because I love animals and I just
Yeah,
can't.
for sure. And it's high time as a society we just say that we respect animal welfare. And the people in Muslim MPs in Parliament are standing up, trying to, you know, say their religion gives them exemptions from it. But again, we need to have that monolith of a culture and say, not here.
Yeah. You know what's that? I asked Richard Dawkins about this, and I said, do you think animals can suffer in the same way as humans? And he said it's quite possible they suffer more in a different way, because they don't necessarily sit there and wonder things the way we would do, and like, oh, why has my life gone this way, or things like that. But they need to be able to suffer to be able to survive in the wild, because it's sort of a warning system. If you suffer, you'll be able to escape better, and you'll have a warning. Oh, this is hurting me. I better get the hell away from here.
Survival instinct. Yeah.
So the suffering we put them through is just, you know, it's not very nice.